Okay, very good morning, folks. For many folks, it must be the noon, evening, and night. But and we have, of course, people joining in from various parts of the world, and we thank each and everybody who made it today. Well, while this all happens, can you quickly tell us like where you folks are from in the chat so that we know your name and the place where you're joining in from? By the way, like I said, my name is Bala Subramaniam, my Yaswami. People call me Bala. And I'm the online business head of Peppy Post, right? And in case if you're new here, let me tell you, Peppy Post is a cloud-based email API service sending over 8 billion emails every month with close to 93% inboxing. Yes. Right. Thank once again for all of it joining here. Today's webinar is very special one, guys. I have not one, but two legendary pillars of Peppy Post with us. We have Tanishq, and he's the CEO and the co-founder of Peppy Post, and Chaitanya, the deliverability expert, and also a co-founder of Peppy Post with us today. Right. So today we're going to talk everything and anything about the email deliverability and the science behind that email deliverability. Right. Now you can use the comment box below and ask us any questions that you have. Of course, there is a question and answer session at the end. However, you can actually go ahead and post your questions. And in fact, you can also talk to us over Twitter with the hashtag Science of Email. All right. With that, ladies and gentlemen, the legends.
Hi everyone, this is Tanishq here and my colleague Chetu is also here.
Hi all.
I think it is great to see so many of you collecting over here to attend this webinar. So good evening, good afternoon, good morning. We are at different time zones. I think there are a lot of people who have joined from different time zones. So we really appreciate you joining here, and it also shows the love and passion you have for emails. It's a very important webinar, the science of email inboxing. We want to really share extremely valuable insights which are going to change the way you do emails and the way you look at emails.
So Tanishq, you've been with email for more than a decade now, right? I mean, why are you still so passionate about email?
So you're absolutely right. I think it's a very important question. I feel email is more alive and kicking than ever. Chetu, I remember when I joined in 2009, this email industry, I was wondering if email industry is the right industry. The only blogs which I read about email was email is dead, or email is going to be dead, or social media is going to be the next big wave. And I was like, wow, I mean, I've joined this industry and these are the blogs I'm reading. You know, the first blog I wrote, it was on email is not dead yet. And this was 2009. And I see that Wall Street Journal has also posted this article, Why Emails No Longer Rules. And in 2019, it's a hot new channel. You see, if I have to say one word about email, I would say email is ageless. You know, since a decade, we have been hearing about email is dead. What makes it incredible is the belief marketers or email senders have to continue to engage with their customers. And the mailbox providers like Gmail, Yahoo, Rediff, Hotmail, they have been doing a lot of improvement to their services to ensure that they give clutter-free and spam-free or seamless experience to their user. I think this collaboration works extremely well. Let me ask our audience over here, if you all are passionate about email, what is that one word you can share which shows that you are extremely passionate about email? Okay. I'm receiving some interesting answers. And I think there's a little lag because we are in different time zones. So please bear with us on that.
I think while that happens, I think I resonate with your view, Tanishq, on that piece. So in fact, the number of users of email are growing year on year. And at the same time, Forrester has done an interesting research in 2018. Towards the end of 2018, they've done this. 65% of people check emails more than 3 times a day.
Wow, that's a huge number.
That's a huge number. And the mobile penetration is fueling the overall activity. And then we see a lot of, in fact, we see the overall open rates of brands are also going up with the overall mobile penetration. and at the same time, younger users who we always thought that they are away from email as a channel, they are more interested in social media. They are very much active on email, and email is acting as an enabler for them to acting as a digital connect for them. And then this is incredibly interesting times for email.
No, I love that. I think younger users hooking to email, I think is a very interesting analytics. It's a very interesting number, and I have some very oh, so ROI, click rate, effective. I think people are very passionate about email. They're saying that it's a best communication channel. Mosen says deliverability. Interesting. I love it.
Okay, so cool.
So, Chetu, do you think brands are struggling to get ROI from emails? I think we have spoken to a lot of marketers. Some people have enjoyed email for a long time. They claim that they get, a lot of ROI from emails, while some of them have really yet to enjoy that ROI. What do you think?
uh, so in our experience, Tanishk, I think what we have seen is that there are three primary reasons why the email ROI is sort of going down for brands, or why they can't make most of the email ROI. One, it starts with the list, always the data collection practices and how they maintain the hygiene of the list. That will be one of the primary reasons that has come out, and poor planning and execution of email program. I mean, there's a lot of brands that we spoke to that they don't have a proper email program that they run. They're in ad hoc campaigns without any proper planning there, and then that really creates a problem there. And when you don't have right list or the right planning and execution of email program, I think emails would definitely start landing in spam. When that happens, I think your ROI goes for a toss. So that's so. In fact, 46% of the brands that we spoke to, they are really worried about the deliverability that that they're getting from their existing ESP. So that's one of the primary reason why they in fact look at Pepe Post also.
Sure. I think the very important point on poor planning and execution is the point to look at. Let's make sure that our email programs are executed right. So I think after listening to all of this, I feel, Chetu, email is complex. It's not really easy. I mean, while it is accepted by everyone that email is a very economical channel to communicate to our customers, to generate recurring revenues, but I think it is also complex. Look at the way it has evolved. Spam engines, earlier they were very rule based, they were primitive. Today they're advanced. They're using machine learning, they're using AI to filter, to make actually sense of what is happening with the email. Where should I place this email? Whether user is liking, not liking, is he engaging with the email? I think that's really interesting to see the way they've evolved in just one decade.
In fact, the spam filters earlier were mostly on the server based, when there were very few filters which were acting on the user level. But today, the focus is shifting more onto the way end user is engaging with your emails, and so it's the spam filters that mailbox providers are building are also around that user. It's not at the server level anymore. That there's a gradual shift that is happening towards that.
So it has become spam filter for each recipient.
Correct.
It is behaving differently.
Correct.
Interesting. So mailbox is cluttered, and I think we all admire that the sheer size of emails we ourselves receive. So I think the audience who are attending this webinar, they are also marketers and they're also recipients of mails. So when they receive emails in their inbox, they're receiving a lot of emails. Now, how do you get across that clutter? I think walking in inbox is like walking in a landmine. It is the busiest marketplace you will ever know. And getting there, making sure that someone really likes your email, opens it, clicks it, or even reply, it's extremely tough. I think people today do not have visibility actually that are they landing in inbox, are they landing in spam. How can actually someone get to see that thing? How do we know that you are landing in inbox or spam? I think there are three people who know whether your email is in inbox or spam. So let's suppose Chetu at PeppyPost or Chetu at gmail.com has received an email. I know Chetu knows that the email is in inbox or spam. I think Gmail also knows that the email is in inbox or spam. Chetu, can you guess the third person?
No, I'm still at 2.
You're still at 2. I think God also knows.
Great.
Right. So, but God doesn't tell us that whether email is in inbox or spam. So we have to figure out ourselves. And that's where seed list monitoring invented. And I think we'll talk a little more about seeds going ahead. The way seeds today work, I mean, you take your own email address, you make sure that you insert that in a list, and your seed is active. The only thing today is that your spam filters and your seeds, they have to go hand in hand. Look at how you behave to your emails. I see that a lot of marketers have created seeds and it is kept there. It is like no one opens those seeds. We just check whether the emails are in inbox or in spam. But you have to start behaving like actual users. You open to some emails and then you do not open to some emails. I think it is important that you behave on the seeds similarly. You have higher engagement seeds, you have medium engagement seeds, and you have lower engagement seeds. Cool. So Gmail is pushing brands to send quality emails. I think that's another very important point here. I keep saying that email is complex. It is not easy because a lot of brands are adopting. That doesn't make it easier. The only insight is that Gmail itself is pushing users very hard to make sure that they send quality emails, right? So Gmail started this whole herd of engagement where they said customer engagement is extremely important. You will land in inbox if your customers are engaging with you, if your users are engaging with you. Today, you send one layout consistently for 3 months, and I think it is cached. You need to make sure that your layouts are getting changed. People are responding to your layout. Now, all of this is complex, and hence you need a scientific analysis to really reach inbox. What do you think, Chetu?
I think I'm with you on that, Anushka. I think that brings us to the subject of today's discussion. I mean, email inboxing is a science. So, see, deliverability is both art and a science, in my opinion. There's an art side of it which deals with the creative ways of presenting the content, whether it is the whether it is the text, design, the subject lines, and etc. And the science side of it deals with the infrastructure, the data collection practices, the data hygiene, sunset policies, etc. I think so. We today want to discuss more on the science piece of it. I think let's get started with that.
Sure. I think the survey was very interesting. We saw so many different responses.
Yeah.
By the way, we just did a survey here, and the question is, are you sure business critical emails are always landing in inbox? 27% people think yes, 45% people say maybe not sure, and 27% people say no, I don't think so. So I think it gives you a visibility of how different the opinion is, and I see the percentages changing very quickly.
In fact, that also resonates with the thought that we had that email is not very easy and it's sort of complex because a good bunch of a majority of the people don't explicitly know whether the mails are landing in inbox or spam.
Sure. So let's get on to what did the survey unfold. So guys, we did survey across 300 plus brands, and we had various kind of responses. So we have bucketed these responses into two large buckets. We had early stage email senders who have just started sending emails, or they are at very early stage of discovering volumes, etc. And I think there were some very advanced email senders, and each of these senders, they had few questions or few doubts on how they should go about with their email program. I think the questions are like best way to build email list. Obviously, list is the starting point of your email program. So how do you build a great list? How do I start my warm up and scale up? Some of you might have heard this. Some of you might be going to hear it for the first time, but let us share more insights on this. How do I measure success of my email program? I think what are the right metrics to really measure what is happening with my emails? I think we are going to address some of these today in this discussion. I think your email program starts with list building. So most of you e-commerce companies, SaaS companies, different kind of verticals, you're sending out emails today to your customers Either they are transactional emails or either they are marketing emails. You either want to engage with customers to get them back to your website for more transactions, or you're sending them notifications, or you're sending them transactional emails where they have transacted on the site. The way you have collected these lists can be put in two large categories or two broad categories. One is single opt-in and second is confirmed opt-in. Single opt-in is when, let's assume I go to abc.com and I put tanishk@gmail.com, my email address, and they have accepted my email address and they start sending out emails to me. On the confirmed opt-in, I give my email address to abc.com and they send me a confirmation link, which I have to confirm that I am ready to receive more emails from them. And that's qualitative opt-in. I think with single opt-in, there's a risk. While confirmed opt-in is designed for qualitative input, single opt-in might get some spam traps or might get some bad email IDs. The way you handle today single opt-ins, and I think today a lot of users in our audience might also have single opt-in list building practices. Guys, if you have single opt-in list building practice, make sure that you do these 4 things to de-risk your opt-ins. Number 1, make sure that you validate email address right at the form with an email validation API. There are some good tools to do that. Examples like Tower Data, Bright Verify, X Verify. There's many tools who will help you use email validation API near real time on your form and making sure that your sign up experience doesn't go for a toss. Next, you send out welcome email. I think you all are sending out welcome email already to your customers. In case you are not, it is a must.
So in fact, welcome email, ensures that there's a brand affinity that gets built with the user, Tanishk. I think that's a very important thing for any brand that is using single opt-in to start sending.
Absolutely, I agree to that. And what is more interesting is when you send out welcome email, make sure that your email carries power for you to get a response. You can incentivize your user to act on your email. They have to click they have to open your emails. They have to click your emails. If that happens, it is good, but it is not the best. You make sure that people reply to your email. If you're giving 30% discount for their first transaction, give them 30% additional discount, but make sure they reply to your email. The response to an email or a reply to an email is extremely next level. It makes sure that the user who has responded to you, the next set of email always end to his inbox or her inbox. And I think that is very powerful. So some users might reply to your welcome email and some users might not respond to your welcome email. Make sure that you have put them into separate buckets. Make sure that your content strategy or your email strategy to reach out to them, the kind of content you are reaching out to them with is different. The confirmed users, you can really reach out with very frequent content, with good quality content, more transacting content. But people who have not responded to you, your frequency should be less and you should look at more innovative ways of getting the first response.
And in fact, they could both carry a different sunset policies. People who don't respond to your emails in the first go, I think after a short duration of time, you might want to choose to get them off your list. But then people who have responded to your email can stay for a very long time.
Sure, absolutely. I absolutely agree with that. And that brings me to the next important question. Okay, you have the list. You are sending out welcome emails. What should your warm-up look like? I think this is the most frequent word warm-up is the most frequent word I've been listening in last 3-4 months. I think a lot of marketers we are talking to, a lot of email senders we are talking to, warm up and scale up. I think this has become an everyday word to us. So guys, choice of domain is what kind of domain should you use for sending out your emails? I'm sure you are minimum sending out 2 kind of emails. Number 1, you're sending transactional emails. Number 2, you're sending marketing or newsletter kind of emails. We suggest that you use a subdomain of your own brand for sending out these different email programs. So let's assume peppypost.com sends out transactional email. We use a subdomain called mail.peppypost.com. And when we send out newsletter emails, we send out those emails from hello.peppypost.com. It is extremely important that we keep the domains separate. This also means that you will have to decide what kind of mail streams are required, what kind of warm up. So your mail streams are different. You require a warm up which is extremely different. Uh, I'm sure you go to gym and you don't hit 100 pounds weight on the first day. I think you gradually scale up, and that's the intent. The intent of warm up is to start with the best of your email streams and then build scale gradually. So if you're sending pure transactional emails like OTP, password reset, invoice, make sure that your user, and these emails have high user engagement. Usually they do not need warm up. So in case guys you're sending transactional emails, you can skip warm up. You don't really need a warm up. But for marketing emails, you definitely need a warm up. And within marketing emails, if you have a domain history, if you have a good domain history, you can actually have very swift warm up. You can scale faster. But if your domain history has a legacy or has some bad history, if your domain had bulked in the past or had been bulking, it is important that your warm up plan is a little slow. It is very gradual so that you are able to establish the right setup, the right reputation. I think you all are aware that SPF, DKIM, DMARC are important authentications. These authentications are more good to be needed than must have, but we ensure that we tell all our customers that SPF and DKIM is a best practice which they must do when they are starting to send out emails. So these, while these practices are must, DMARC is an authentication that you set by choice, and it is not must to have. It is obviously good to have.
So in fact, SPF and DKIM are mostly set by any email provider as of today. Any major provider sets them up for a brand. But DMARC gives you an insight of whether your domain is getting abused, or let's say if somebody is trying to impersonate your domain. I think that's very important insight that you need to gain, and then it's more like a reporting tool there.
Sure. I think that's a good point, Chetu. What does your ideal warm-up plan looks like? So an ideal warm-up plan looks like, you start with hundreds of email every day, and then increase your daily limit basis the kind of engagement you're getting. If your engagement is good, you increase your daily limit by 50%. If your engagement is really high, if your open rates and click rates are really high, I think you can even double your daily send on your warm-up. I think a good warm-up is extremely crucial to ensure that you have a long-standing good relationship with mailbox providers.
Correct. I think we have a question here from Shubham. He's asking how can we check the reputation of email created with a subdomain? So I think checking the reputation piece, I think it is one of the next slides that Tanishq is going to cover any which ways. So we'll just wait for that to happen.
Good question, Shubham, and we are going to talk about it here. I think when you are started with warm-up, you want to start measuring success of your email program. I think the first I would like to talk about is seeds. We spoke about it, how do we track whether your emails are in inbox or spam. So if you have created seeds for your email program, make sure that you check seeds every day. See, most of your emails should be in inbox. If most of your emails are not in inbox, there's a problem.
So in fact, the seeds that you build for your program, right? I think they should carry a different level of engagement, as Tanishq has rightly said, and the composition of the seed list should also be in line with your list composition. For example, if 80% of your list is Gmail, then 80% of your seed list should also be Gmail.
Yeah, I think that's a extremely important point.
And a different engagement level, so that you get a clear view of what is happening with users who are actively engaging with your emails versus users who are engaging with your emails not so actively, and users who are completely inactive.
So I think you're saying that seeds should look natural. They are like email addresses and not bots, right?
Correct.
I think one mistake which we see, brands have been making is they would create seeds, but then they are just reserved. They are like inactive. They're just open to check, whether emails are in inbox or spam. They don't behave like regular email addresses or people. I think seeds should also behave like people to get the best results.
Correct.
So We want to talk also about Google Postmaster. I think this is the best way you can track your reputation. It's a tool given by Google where you can check your domain and IP reputation.
Correct. I mean, Gmail has released this a couple of years ago, and this gives a deeper insight as to what is happening with your domain and IP at Gmail. And since majority of the lists today carry Gmail user IDs, I think this monitoring this makes an absolute sense.
And you can monitor DKIM signed up domains and return path domains.
So right. So there are two domains that you need to definitely look out for when you are sending emails. One is your DKIM signing domain, which you can find, and the return path domain. So these two domains are crucial for your mails, landing in inbox or spam.
I think in the Gmail headers, when you do show original, you will find the headers and you can just search for DKIM, and then you'll find a domain which is mentioned in the DKIM, and then just go for return path, and you'll discover a domain which is there in the return path as well. And these two domains could be same or could be different, but they're very important to track for your Gmail inboxing. You make sure that you are checking Postmaster nearly every day. It will show you whether your reputation for domain and IP is in high, low, or medium. So there's a interesting question, Mohsin. Will seed level monitoring still give a relevant data after Google's privacy policy implemented this year?
So seeds are seeds are always they are not a real world picture that you get always. It's more like a limited information that you have. I think that continues to stay. I don't see that changing. Even after Google's privacy policy implemented.
Sure. And how do you measure reputation? So I think it is important. So after Seeds and Google Postmaster, while these are the best way you can monitor your reputation, you also monitor your domain and IP space against sender score and blacklist. There are various blacklists which can affect your inboxing, and there are major mailbox providers who refer to Spamhaus, Spamcop, Invaluement, Barracuda, SURBLs, URIBLs. These are some of the important blacklists. You must not be listed in any of these blacklists, and in case you are, you need to get yourself whitelisted. We'll send you the resources where you can check all of this in a follow-up presentation.
All right. I think that brings to the next part of the survey that we have done with the advanced email senders. So advanced email senders are these veterans who have been doing email for quite some time now, and across the 50 plus brands that we inquired. So there are four large questions that we have come across. Improve inboxing from X to Y. How do I make the email program fail safe? And how sophisticated my email program should be, and one eternal question: how do I improve my ROI from email program?
I think everyone wants to know how do they do better on the ROI. But Chetu, I think these three questions, I have not found a lot of information on the internet for these questions. I think these are very good questions for senders who are sending 50 million, 100 million emails. They have been in email sending since a decade.
Correct. So the first piece on improving inboxing from X to Y, I think the first thing that we need to understand is about the deliverability piece here. Improving inboxing for any brand requires a threefold approach. Start with the data. I mean, the data collection, the data segmentation while you're sending emails, and the right sunset policy. I think this default approach is absolutely important. When something is off with your email sends, so mailbox providers usually start with filtering content, and as the badness increases, they hit the reputation. They hit on the IP or domain. So usually, when your content is getting filtered by any of the mailbox providers, don't just look at it from a content angle. Look at it from identifying the root cause and try to fix it.
And when you say content, I think even the layouts gets cached very soon in case the responses are negative on the emails.
Correct, correct. So the second part of it is on building fail-safe mechanism for the for the email program. For brands doing over 50 million emails a month, it's essential to build a redundant infra to support at least 50% of the volume.
Chetu, you remember 2 months back we spoke to this email sender. He's sending 300 million emails and something went wrong with him. And now he
Correct.
wants to shift. And overnight shifting, like he wants to start 300 million emails from tomorrow. How painful is that?
Absolutely, absolutely. So that is the exact reason why every large brand should have a redundant infrastructure. So use a different domain and IP space to build a different infra. Keep it warmed up enough to switch the traffic overnight when in need. So at least and that is very much important. So in case your primary infra goes down for whatever reason, there is a secondary infra to keep your email program going on. But there is a word of caution here. The fix the problem before switching the traffic. If you don't fix the core problem before switching the traffic, you're going to lose the secondary infra and everything goes down for a toss.
And I think a larger part of this is that how their list is, I think people have today acquiring lists from different sources. So they also need to keep a track of what list source is going in what kind of infra.
Right. And the third point about sophistication that brands talk about. So when we talk about sophistication, we talk about personalized campaigns, contextual emailing, predictive analytics, etc. Usually they come to the mind. But from what we have understood from our survey here is that the more sophisticated programs usually give high absolute returns, but not necessarily high ROI. The cost of technology used versus the returns made from that investment is always a trade-off. For example, say an e-commerce brand makes $1,000 out of a plain broadcast campaigns that they usually send out, maybe about $300 for they spend about $300 to send it. A sophisticated program might cost about $600 to implement, but absolute returns might jump from $1,000 to maybe $1,100. That there's always a trade-off there. So implement sophisticated solutions incrementally to see what best works for you. So you need not take a leap from to the most advanced solution out there, but we suggest you try solutions incrementally to see what works best for your brand and for your email program.
So Chetu, what the most sophisticated solution, obviously they are most expensive ones also. At what, so early stage senders, they can't invest that much in such
Correct.
sophisticated tools. Like
Correct.
for example, a guy who is sending 100,000 emails does not really need an AIML way to send out emails or AIML techniques to improve the reputation. At what level you think we recommend sophisticated solution?
See, at least if you have 3 to 4 million emails to send out in a month, that's when you start looking out for any sophisticated solution. Until then, as long as you get the basics right, you get the mails into inbox and you get an optimal ROI.
Sure.
So when you have optimized your inboxing and have right sophistication built and also build a redundant setup, I think your ROI from email program should be stable and maximum, in my opinion.
Sure. So I think there is this poll which we I think just got done. And is there a strategy that your business followed for measuring email ROI? 47% people say yes, never without a strategy. Maybe depends largely on the campaign. 53% no, never really thought about it. Okay, I think measuring email ROI is how the way Chetu explained, the right sophistication. You have to make sure that you're optimized for inbox and you have the right redundant setup. Especially if you have been into emailing for a long time, make sure that you have a redundant setup. You cannot take a risk on your primary infra.
So right. So when we spoke about inboxing, it includes the right data collection practices, like right segmentation practices, and right sunset policies that we need to build, uh, plus the sophistication and the redundant setup. Absolutely, I think these are the uh, these lie at the crux of getting maximum ROI out of your email program.
Sure, absolutely. Chetu, we are almost nearing the end of, and I love this slide because I feel for the love of email, we are doing this webinar and we are sharing these information. I think please ensure that every email ID you talk to is a person and not an email ID. Nurture the relation. Focus on building reputation. I think warm up is a must. If you have heard of it, great. If you have not heard of it, talk to your email service provider. There's a lot of resources online which you can read on warm up. It helps you build gradual strength for your email program. You're not sending emails just for 1 year. You want to be in this business forever. You want to make sure that you are reaching inbox always. Warm up is a must. Keep an eye on important metrics. I think the right sunset policy, the right segment, monitoring your Google Postmaster. You can look at your reputation, your domain and IP reputation through Google Postmaster, making sure you're not in any blacklist. We have spoken about the important blacklist there. I think these are some of the important metrics you need to keep an eye on. And yeah, fresh content is a must. Make sure that you are reaching to your customers with fresh content time and again. The same layout would not work after a month or after a few weeks unless you have very high engagement on those content. There's always scope to do better. I think we all acknowledge that uh, the email is ever evolving, the spam filters are ever evolving, and so are the senders. You all also have to evolve. If you are a large sender, if you're sending more than 5 million emails, or if you're sending even a million emails, make sure that you expect there would be a doomsday. Gmail, Yahoo, Rediff, they are semi-predictable or maybe sometimes not at all predictable. So make sure that you are ready with a backup. So that because you can't send out if you're sending 5 million emails a month, you cannot just overnight send out next day 5 million emails from another infra. And please make sure that you invest right. Make sure that you have the right sophistication in the tools. Don't over invest at the early stage. And this is where I think we end. We would love to see, there are a lot of questions, guys. We love it. Can we bring up some of the important questions here?
Okay, I see a question from Mohsin here. Is warm up and reputation building practices in regard to Gmail different from G Suite or same? So Mohsin, I think these two platforms are different. Well, on the front, they look from the interface perspective, they act same, but in their spam filters, they act differently. The Google Suite spam filters are usually more stricter than the regular Gmail spam filters that we have seen. So it does not mean that if mails are landing in inbox at Gmail would definitely land in inbox in Google G Suite mailboxes.
Okay.
Sakun asks any tips for primary inboxing. So Sakun, primary inboxing is a double-edged sword. If you ask me, if you are expecting, I mean, I'm assuming this question is for getting marketing emails into primary inbox. It's always a double-edged sword. The promotional folder is there for a reason. If you get promotional emails into primary inbox, I think it's going to be you want to go there very carefully.
Gmail, you remember Gmail said this very interesting thing. We are making promotion folder as a place, as a marketplace where all your offers are there. When a user goes to promotions, he is really looking out for offers and deals. And what lands in primary is what is conversative. So in case brands get to reply to their emails, I think there is a slight chance where
there's a slight chance, right? So make your emails more conversational in nature. At the same time,
don't sell on your emails a lot. Have less links.
Correct. What we have seen is that for brands landing in primary inbox, we have seen at least 1.5 to 2x jump in the response rates that they usually get. rather than in promotions. But as I said, it's a double-edged sword, and you have to tread that path very carefully. One of the question, how to improve email delivery as my domain was compromised by spammers. Alberto asked this question. Alberto, assuming that your domain reputation is currently at a bad state because of a compromise on your compromise by the spammers. So in fact, you can approach Google. There's a form that you can fill at Google to explain them the case. Not that they will respond to your case, but you can definitely write a message to them and see what can happen there. At the same time, I would suggest if the issue is completely fixed on your side, then start slow with pure transactional traffic. Keep it there for quite some time, at least for 30 to 45 days, to just build the reputation, and then take off with your rest of the emailers. I hope that addresses the question there. Siddhant asked, tool to check inboxing of domain. There are many tools, Siddhant, that are available. Let's say tools like eDataSource, tools like E250OK, tools like Postmastery. There are many tools that are available that to check inboxing of the domain. But as I said, most of them are seed based, and so the visibility that they give would be not complete, but this is the best possible visibility that you can get into inbox. So is there there's one more question here on
guys, we'll take up one last question.
Yeah.
And
so
the remaining questions, I think we'll write a blog and we can answer them. In case you want to ask more questions today, please ensure that you tag Peppy Post and Twitter handle, and use a hashtag signs of inboxing. Ask us the question, and we should be able to reply you over Twitter as well.
So anyways, so this is the last question that we'll pick up. Is there any correlation between a brand's transactional email and promotional email? Should those two be separate setups? Okay, it is very brand specific. If I must say, ideally these two setups should be different. The transactional, every mail stream should go from a different setup. That's the global recommendation that you have. But at the same time, you can leverage the transactional volume to build reputation for promotional setup. And then I've seen few brands doing it. And then that gave them a better deliverability there. I think.
All right. I think we are getting a lot of questions over here. Okay, so let's kind of do this thing. Like, of course, these folks also have to kind of move on to the next meeting. All right, but I'm really, really glad that they have actually taken their time and joined in this particular webinar. First of all, thank you very much, all of you who have been in this webinar patiently listening to everything. And then I hope, of course, you must have taken a lot of stuff behind it. And like how Chaitanya exactly said it, there's an art and there's a science, right? Everybody talks about art. Everybody knows about the art. How good you have to write, what is the subject lining, how beautifully the email has to be put out, and people should be kind of replying to it. But nothing is going to work if you don't know the science behind it. That's what we are actually taking it from this particular webinar. And I hope, just like me, it would have given you a complete different insight altogether into the science side of it. And of course, there is a lot more questions which is there. Of course, I as a marketer, I too have many other questions. And of course, you must be having too. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to take up all these questions over here. These are all good ones. We're taking up these. We're going to put it up in a blog. And also, of course, you will be kind of getting an email to you in another 24 hours and seeing the recording of this if you want to kind of go back and see it. And when the blog comes out, I'll make sure that there's a word sent out to you that, you also get to see all the answers of it. All right. As of now, thank you very much, Kai. And once again, thank you very much, Chaitanya. Thank you very much, Tanishq, taking your time and explaining us so far. Really appreciate it. See you guys soon. All right. Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.